Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 12, Communication Climate. Previously, we've been discussing conflict and whether we engage in constructive or destructive conflict. Both will they will lead into the communication climate. The communication climate refers to the general social tone, the feeling that you experience in communication. And there are ways to build a positive climate and a negative climate. So let's dive right in. As I said before, communication climate refers to the social tone of the relationship. So there are positive climates and negative climates. Positive is where we have warm, welcoming communication. Communication where someone feels valued in this social relationship. Whereas negative or cold or hostile communication climates are where we feel not valued, where we feel attacked, we feel threatened, we do not feel secure in these social relationships. So, how do we develop confirming or positive or warm climates, or negative and cold climates? We do it through confirming and disconfirming communication, respectively. Confirming communication, either directly or indirectly, communicates communicates message of value, that you exist, you matter, you're important, and the confirming climate is valuable, that there are many things that can be benefited, many ways that we can benefit from warm confirming communication climates. In fact, in marriages and employment, it leads to more satisfaction, less destructive conflict, and will lead to positive cycles of confirming communication. When someone uh, communicates very positively with us, is always showing that you exist, you matter, you're important. What do? We tend to act in kind. We communicate valuing back. What are some of these confirming messages? They may be things like, actually saying those things. You exist, you matter, you're important. But it can also be shown through other things, through how we communicate. We may be using equality language instead of superior language. We may be, one of the biggest ones, though, is listening to the other person and not controlling communication, not trying to change you. I value you the way that you are. That is confirming communication. Disconfirming communication obviously does the opposite. It's where we signal a lack of regard for the other person. It communicates things like, you are not important, you do not matter to me, you do not exist. This disconfirming communication climate is toxic and can have a lot of detriments. Children, for example, suffer a broad range of emotional and behavioral problems when they are raised in climates of disconfirming communication. What are some of these disconfirming communication? Well, all the things that I've talked about previously, just the opposite. Things like, you are not important, you do not matter, you do not exist. There are things that control communication, where you do not have any say because your opinion doesn't matter. It is all about what I want to do. Destructive conflict. And not listening to the other person very much shows that you do not matter because I do not care what you say. And just like that, confirming and disconfirming communication can lead to warm and cold communication climates, respectively. So there are different levels of confirmation and disconfirmation. We start with confirming messages. Some of these messages can include endorsement, actually agreeing or supporting another person. When we were talking about listening responses, supporting would be one. Agreeing with them, showing that they are right. That confirms their value because I am agreeing with what they are saying. That the value of what they're saying is that it is right. Next, acknowledgement. Paying attention to the ideas and feelings of others. This means empathizing with them. By understanding their emotions, it is very much showing that I value your emotions because I am acknowledging your emotions. And recognition, indicating your awareness of another person. This is the smallest we can do, but it is still confirming. It's where we indicate your awareness of another person, even if you don't necessarily agree or disagree with them. Or sorry, even if you don't agree with them. Then we jump into disagreeing messages. At best, it acknowledges and recognizes the speaker, so it is still within that spectrum. We've talked a lot about confirming messages. Now we're moving into the gray area where it's disagreeing messages, where it still confirms the value of the other person, but showing disagreement. Argumentativeness is presenting and defending positions on issues while the opposition is taken by others. So you are arguing with them, but it is still in a respectful way. Then on the more disconfirming side, we get into complaining when communicators don't want to argue but want to register dissatisfaction. This can take the place of character attacks, so we should strive to avoid character attacks because that is very much where we get into disconfirming messages, which are aggressiveness and ostracism. Aggressiveness is a tendency to attack another person's character, background, or identity. You are stupid. You are dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. By doing those sorts of things, it is disconfirming their value for themselves. Name calling, put downs, sarcasm, taunting, yelling, badgering, and even some types of humor can be this disconfirming aggressive communication. This is when we actively engage with someone, but we are again disconfirming their value. We are showing that they are not important to us. Ostracism is slightly different, where we purposefully exclude others from interaction. This is the social death penalty, where we exclude people, we silent treatment, we ghost, we stonewall, all of which shows this negative value for these people, for this person. Because what's more disconfirming than avoiding entirely? You do not matter to me because I am no longer, and therefore I am no longer engaging with you. So, with this, there's confirming, disagreeing, and disconfirming messages. Let's talk now about the causes and effects of these situations. When others are willing to accept and acknowledge our important parts of our presenting self, there is no reason to be defensive because it is communicating value for who you are. It is saying you're important. So again, when I am acknowledging and maybe even accepting your presented self, there's no face threat there. Face threatening acts are challenging the image we want to protect. How do you want to be perceived with your teachers? How do you want to be perceived with your family? How do you want to be perceived with your significant other, your friends? We defend that face. And when someone disconfirms that presented self, that face, then we get defensive. Defensiveness is the response to protect one's presenting self and face from an attack. Topics that trigger defensiveness can vary because there are different ways that we present ourselves. For example, if someone gives a presented self as not caring about academics, then saying that you are not good at academics is not going to be you aren't going to get super defensive about that. Whereas if you hold a high value on academics, you have that face of a good academic, or that you are trying to present yourself that way, then that can absolutely trigger some defensiveness. Who offers the defense arousing remark matters as well. Keep in mind those significant others, those people who are significant to us in everyday communication, very much can affect how we see ourselves. So, as a result, they will be able to affect our. We will be more defensive when they give disconfirming communication. So we've talked about the types of disconfirming, from confirming to disconfirming messages all through the spectrum. We've talked about the causes and effects. We've talked about climate in total. In the next section, we are now going to be discussing creating supportive climates through Gibbs categories. These are the specific ways that we either disconfirm people through evaluation, control, strategy, neutrality, superiority, and certainty, and then how we give confirming or supportive behaviors through description, problem orientation, spontaneity, empathy, equality, and provisionalism. So, with that, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time.